Hi guys, welcome back. This is not your typical J Martin video. It's Goldie. As you may have seen, I've posted before. And today I'll be bringing you an Italy 3v3 online multiplayer match. And I wanted to kind of start this new kind of format of videos, which I'll call standards. And the main idea is that this is geared towards newer players, so players who primarily maybe they have a few hours in the campaign, maybe they've played a few multiplayer maps, but they want to get better at the game and they want to have some nice competitive, they want to get an introduction of the competitive scene at Napoleon Online, Total War. Okay, so the standards, what we mean is that we really want to create kind of guidelines or styles or ideas or strategies about how to play or how the top players play these maps. Now, of course, there's not one way to play a map. There's a million, infinitely many ways to play a single map. But this kind of style of play that I'll present and kind of the standard way is not only maximized for its fun, like I believe it's one of the most fun ways to play, but it's also a great way to improve with the game because there's many different things that we'll learn along the way. And it's just a nice way to have fun and not spend 3 hours kind of just running around the map. So again, this is an Italy 3v3. The players right now, they're not important. It's more about the style of play. We can see at the end who the players are. And this particular one we'll be kind of going over the very basics of how to play this map and of Italy more specifically. Okay, so this of course is a 3v3, but this is also geared for 2v2, so the same kind of rules apply, even a 1v1 in that case. And again, this is not a video to debate which style is better. And again, I mean, the obvious criticism is that if everyone plays the map, one way, then it's not, you kind of lose out in all the rich kind of diversity this game offers, and that's a fair point. But if you're a new player and you don't know how to play this game at all, or you don't really know any of the maps, then this would be a good starting point. So you can kind of, have your foundation or your kind of your play style centered around some of these maps you learn, not only this one but different maps, and you can kind of build from there. And you can also kind of, it's very easy to play with the good players once you kind of have a rough idea of how they play. So it'll be quite nice to progress from this point on. Okay, so you can see immediately before the game even starts, everyone goes to the middle. Okay, and again, maybe this is controversial to some, but really, if you're camping, that automatically just it extends the game. It can draw out the game much longer, and it's not, to me, it's just not as fun to play. And again, these kind of guidelines and these standards were not created by myself, but players before me. And once you start playing them and getting into rhythm and gaining more experience, they're very fun to play. Okay, so first I'll talk about kind of the rough builds. I'm not going to go through every single army, and kind of the rough positions we play for. So again, we'll start from the defending side. This is the defending position 1, so Alliance 2. You can see there Portugal. This is position 2, which is France, and position 3, and this is all for defending side, Sweden. Okay, so the most important thing for position, well, for all players, of course, they go to the middle, they advance. But for position 1, defending side, this is actually the hardest position, or one of the hardest positions in the whole game to play. And this video won't really do it justice because this player does quite well in this game. And it's a different kind of matchup. But basically, as a defending side, what you need to do is you need to go for the hill. So you can see France is a really nice pick for position 2 defending side. The reason being is that they have strong cav, they have lances, and then they can kind of contest this hill. So the main point for the defending side in Italy, for a 3v3 or a 2v2, even a 1v1 in that case, is you want to control this hill. So the position 2 and the position 1 player can both send cav on the hill. You can see Portugal's a bit kind of disadvantaged in this category because they have the cav is weak, but you can see France has very strong lances, especially compared to Russia and Austria. So this French cav will do quite well. And you can see Portugal is going to play for this forest here. This is the P1 forest, and this is the kind of the open area. And they'll send some line on the hill, and of course the position 2, so position 2 on our defending side, will go for the middle. Okay, you can see that the French player is just charging cav. Basically with lances, they have the best charge bonus in the game, so you just want to keep charging them through. You kind of bunching it up, you bring your general close. Okay, let's move on to position 3. So again, position 2, I should say, they also go for the forest and the big hill. Okay, so this is kind of, if you're like an aggressive player, you like playing with cav, this is a great kind of position to play. It's really fun because it's quite fast paced.
Our men are running, sir.
And you want to just kind of do as much damage with your cav early on. You don't have to waste all your cav on the hill, but you can bring some lances and do a lot of damage there. Okay, position 3, at least on the defending side and on the attacking side, this is, I would say, one of the most balanced positions. The reason being is that there's no clear advantage in the terrain, at least. You know, obviously, which is another separate video, we'll talk about the defending side lag and the disadvantages of the defending side in general, not just in Italy. But for the most part, this is a fun kind of side to play. You can see that both position 3 players are playing for this hill, and this is called the position 3 forest. And again, we're not going to be playing for, I mean, there's nothing to play for here in a 3v3. In a 4v4 you can, but 4v4s are less common. And again, we're just kind of excluding this part of the map just because it draws out the game. And you get basically, you kind of get slower paced games. So this is a nice, this whole region is very nice to play for. And the nice thing about position 3 is that any sort of nation works here. There's different strategies. So you can see that Sweden and GB have very different play styles. So it really depends on what you want to do and what your kind of teammate wants to do. Okay, so let's just talk about the attacking side. So the attacking side, again, at P3 it's quite equal. Position 2 again, you kind of want a nation with some nice cav. Again, attacking side, it's not as crucial to win the hill, basically, as the defending side here, France and Portugal. They really need to win the hill to win the game. If you take the hill very early on in a 3v3 as defending side, then you have a quite good chance of at least kind of making the game close. But if you lose the game as defending side and you're trying to push the middle, it makes it very, very hard to actually do anything really. I mean, you can see Russia and Austria are decent picks because they have lances, some shooter cav for Russia, and you can see that the initial engagements, I would say that, you know, the French cav is doing a lot of damage, and for the amount of cav that the attacking side has, there's a lot of Russian and Austrian cav, but the French cav is holding well. Okay, and then the position 1 attacking side, this is one of the best positions to play. This video won't, or this replay won't do it justice because that's not how it works out in the end. But the reason why the attacking side is so good for Italy, the position 1, is that you can see it's not symmetrical, so you get a lot more of the forest as attacking side, and you can kind of just push very hard. And of course, with the kind of lag that is introduced for a 3v3, then you usually get the first volley shooting advantage for the attacking side. And it's very easy to kind of be aggressive as the attacking side. The issue with this specific game is what happened is that Austria sent all the cav to the hill, and now Portugal, and now that the Austrian cav is mostly dead, Portugal's going to just have a good time because they have very good lights and line infantry compared to Austria, at least in terms of shooting. So again, this is kind of how a lot of games they start off with. This is we're kind of now getting into the, you could call it the mid game. You know, most of the cav on the hill is dead, and you can say there's no real clear advantage, but the attacking side lost actually a lot of cav in the beginning, for at least not gaining a great advantage on the hill. So the France did very well to kind of hold them back, and they traded their cav very well. You can see that, of course, you know, on this side with shooter cav, the Swedish can kind of force GB off the hill. But again, GB just has to play a slow game, has to kind of grind Sweden out, as GB is kind of a nice shooting nation. So this won't necessarily means Sweden wins. But the nice thing is now that once position 3 has this hill, then you can see they can flank the position 2 player in this forest. So this is an important thing, because now France and Sweden can kind of double team Russia, this position 2 player. And this is important because if GB didn't go for the hill at all, then you could just double team from the beginning, and then you can do a lot of damage to this to the Russian player. Okay, again, Portugal here is playing very well. They still have a lot of the Cazadores left. You can see Austria is going melee. That's probably a good thing to do, but they have no cav to back it up. So even though the lights are doing damage, which is nice, you can see that one of the reasons why Portugal will do quite well is that they've actually taken this hill. You can see that there's a Polish on the hill and some in melee. And once the defending side takes this hill, most of the time it's a more even match. And you can see that there's 2 cav still left from the France and Portugal players. So this will be very important late game and for winning this hill. You can see Sweden's doing some damage, but I wouldn't say it's a decisive win. And as well in the forest.
Our men are running, sir.
Okay, again, the hill is still being contested. Still nice, but soon you basically can't compete with these Portuguese Cazadores. So you can see that now this is a nice push by the Portuguese. Basically, you want to, if you can, as a defender, if you can push the attacking side out of this forest, that's kind of a big win.
Our men are running, sir.
Okay, and again, of course, there's there's a lot of micro and different kind of strategies they do within this, but hopefully, as a general overview, what we covered is that both sides move to the hill. As a defending side, which is the side we're looking at now, you want to win this hill. You want to bring your cav here, and you want to kind of win this hill. And once you win the hill, you can basically shift your army as a attacking, defending P1 to this hill. You can see as Portugal's doing, and you can get good shots. And for the attacking side, basically you want to try and prevent that. But if this happens, then you can still get good shots. So if Austria had more left, you can kind of half circle a little bit, send some backup line here, and then they can shoot at the hill. In terms of Sweden, you can see Sweden, even though Sweden looked like it had an early advantage, that's the kind of nice thing about GB is they can just grind players out. And you can see now this is kind of the later stage of the game. You see Portugal has a lot left, which is pretty rare. Usually the attacking P1, sorry, the defending position 1 here loses, or at least tries to just hold on. But in this case, they did very well to hold back Austria.
Sir,
and you can see everyone's fighting for this middle forest. So, no one's kind of pushing, even though Austria pulled back, he's not running to the spawn. So he's just pulling back. He's trying to fight where, they're strongest. And this is in this middle forest where GB is. So now it's just a shooting fight to see who wins. Then again, this is not just, I looked at many, I've played, if you've been around for a little bit, you would have played hundreds of Italy games. And this is just kind of a staple. And, not every game, of course, ends like this or even looks like this. But as a generic rule, I think it's good for new players to just get accustomed of this style of play. It's a very aggressive style. But you can work within the framework and you can do a lot of other, things. And even, we saw in this position that GB actually won because they were playing, quite slow. There's obviously opportunities for the Russian player here. They could have played a bit more defensive. Or if they had another nation. But now it's still quite close. And this is why it's a nice game to show, because Portugal did a lot of damage early game, but so did GB, and now they're just meeting in the middle to fight. The forest is obviously a nice area for shooting because it, covers a lot of the bullets. You can see, I think the Austrians are running out of ammo here. So it's really just a matter of time. If Portugal runs out of ammo first, then I think it could be GG. But they do have a lot left. Let's just fast forward a bit. Again, the end game is not so important. The specific replay is not the thing in focus. What's in focus is the style of play and kind of how to play on this map. You see Portugal running with the lights, but shooting when it has space.
A glorious
So
victory, sir.
a very
Soon to be yours.
clinical performance by the Portuguese. So you can see the players here. In this case, it was insects. You can have a look. Some stats. But again, the important thing is that how to actually, the style of play. And kind of what to do on this map. At least, if you're unsure what to do, then this is kind of a nice way to play. And I'll just leave by asking one more question, which is, where is Jay Martin? I've discussed with a few people. We don't know actually where he is. So Jay, if you see this video, send us a message. Hopefully you're doing okay. And I'll talk to you guys soon.